Hey guys, Zom Fox here, and today it's time to do the Week 7 betting picks for the 2023 USFL season. Last week was really what has become the norm. Essentially, there's no game that's easy to predict at this point. The coaches, the players, they all seem to know how to, deal with all the adversity that they have in front of them, and then some teams are on streaks, but it's weird. So, without further ado, let's just get to the first game. The first game is the Stallions versus the Breakers. This game, it's really hard to do for me. Because on one hand, the Breakers just have looked really bad recently compared to the Stallions, who looked really good. But the Stallions, at the same time, are due for a loss. The over-under is 45.5, so I'm going to go with the over. Breakers win and Breakers cover. Why? I think that it's in line with how the season's been, that as soon as you start to doubt a team is when they pull off that win. And I think this is when the Breakers do it. The Stallions have looked really good the last couple weeks, and I think the Breakers end up getting the sweep on them in the regular season in this rivalry to make up for last year. And I think it's going to be a huge win for the Breakers. So I actually have the Breakers winning them against them. I think the reason is that this is the week their offense gets back on track. And because of the fact they're playing the Stallions, who also have a solid offense, it's going to expose the defense, who, quite frankly, didn't look that good last week, but had inflated numbers due to how poor the Stars' offense was. So because of that, I'm going to have the Breakers winning this game. Now, as for the second game, we have the Stars versus the Maulers at Canton. This is a pick'em game, so this is a double or nothing for me is how I do these. So what that means is if I get it right, I get, one for each, and if not, I get one wrong. Essentially, it's not a surprise they're co-favorites. Look, the fact is that the Stars may have a better record, but they've looked like they can't score touchdowns whatsoever. The Maulers looked really good, but then last week was completely terrible. So it's kind of weird. And then the over-under is 39.5. What I'm going with? I'm going with the over, and I'm going with the Stars win and Stars cover. This is the week that we finally see some offense from both teams. I think 40 points is a pretty low bar for both these teams to actually cross. 23 to 17 is enough to get it done. I think the Stars end up winning this because I think it's to the point that the Stars are going to actually look like a decent team instead of a team carried by defense and special teams. I think the Maulers just end up getting beaten this one. I think a lot of people probably will have the Maulers winning, but I think that you got to go against the curve on this one, and the Maulers end up losing. So the third game is the Gamblers versus the Showboats. I would say this is probably the most intriguing matchup because whoever wins this looks like the best team in the league all of a sudden. So the Gamblers are -3, and then they're -167 favorites, and then the over-under is 43.5. So this is Kenji Bahar basically at full strength now versus the Showboats, who are on a roll. It's at Memphis, and in front of that Memphis crowd, the Showboats get the W, they cover, and it's an under. Why? The Showboats are going to be able to keep the ball out of the Gamblers' hands, just like they did against the Breakers. They're going to limit possessions by the Gamblers, and they're going to take a ton of time off the clock, so the Showboats only need to score a few touchdowns to win, just like the Generals usually do, but the Showboats will do it with a passing game. I think the Showboats get this win because nobody's really expecting them to. I think everyone's expecting the Gamblers to put a stop to the Showboats' turn of success, but I'm going to go with the Showboats winning this. I think this ends up being a low-scoring game that ends like 20 to 14. The Showboats seem to be just like the Generals, where it's like if they're in a game, you almost always just go with the under guaranteed, and you're probably going to be right most of the time. So I am going to go with the under, and I think the Showboats win this to get ahead of the Gamblers in the division and end up looking like the best team in the league. The final game is the Michigan Panthers at the New Jersey Generals. Look, this is 6.5 a favorite for the Generals. That's insane. Look, over-under is 40.5. I think this is the easiest one to call for me. I do think the Generals win. It's just the Panthers have looked really bad. Now, would I be shocked if the Panthers pull off the upset? No. Do I hope they do as a fan? Yes. Do I hope that next week Fox Sports corrects the issue of having these teams correct records instead of 2 and 3? That too. Okay, but in all seriousness though, look, the over-under is 40.5, and just like I said, the Showboats. The Generals, if you see an over-under, and unless it's like literally 25, pick the under. You're going to be right most of the time. The Generals are the easiest team to pick the over-under because they do the same thing. They either do literally nothing on offense, and the other team destroys them, but they don't score enough by themselves to, carry it, or the Generals win a game that's low scoring, like this one. And that's why them being 6.5 favorites is insane as well. You're basically banking on a shutout at that point. That's not going to happen. Will it end in a touchdown? Maybe, but I'm gonna have the Panthers actually cover this one. I think this is a legit candidate for a cover and other team win. It's just 6.5 against the Generals is insane. So overall, in terms of the record, last week did not do too hot. I was perfect on the Pittsburgh Memphis game. I got all three of those right, and I went like 2-2 in the over under. But overall, haven't done too great. But we're getting close to hitting 40 in the money line, which is good. Hopefully, we can get some of these closer. Going 3-1 would help instead of going like 2-2 and stuff. But we'll see. Overall, this has been Zon Fox. If you enjoy this content, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell. And as always, have a great night.